Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHV 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you then, a Wednesday morning version of the show that precedes the Thursday event. They're coming back, folks. The Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group is finally meeting after a little bit of a hiatus. You know, we usually take off December, January, February, crazy months around here. But things are settling out, and just to prove it, they're going to start up again now. The featured speaker up there at the Freedom of Choices and Cancer Therapy group to kick it all off is one very well known by you. He's been to Pittsburgh many times. Each and every time he comes, he is a crowd pleaser and certainly gets raving reviews from all who are in attendance. So, Dr. Cass Ingram, our guest today, which, by the way, we haven't established contact with him just yet. We're waiting his call in. We've got a couple of emergency phone numbers. Bill is in the control room right now trying to figure out how to do the connection, and I'm hopeful that we'll shortly be able to be hooked up with Dr. Cass Ingram and get our interview out of the way today. He's made the rounds, so to speak. I know he's with Dr. Dan and the Ronzios, so he's been in his normal stops. One of his normal stops is always usually the last one, too, is to come aboard with us. So we'll wait on getting that connection. If you want to call today to ask a question or make a comment with Dr. Cass, the number, as you should know by now, is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. And we'll give that number additionally throughout the hour. Now, I have a moment, and we'll see. I hope we don't have to change major gears, but I just wanted to reemphasize for those of you who are kicking around the possibility of learning more about microcurrent, I want you to head to the website. Everything is up there. It's a pretty splashy looking email blast. They called it email blast. Anyway, go to www.microcurrentconference.com. That's microcurrentconference.com, and you'll see a rather lengthy description of the conference coming up April 10, 11, and 12. April 10 is for the layperson out there that's treating themselves or other members of the family that's treating themselves, and somebody needs to be running the show at home. Well, with the kind of training you can get on the layperson's day, that will work out just very well for you. And so you may think about attending day one, which is April 10, all day, just for you, layperson's full agenda. It's already printed up in terms of what the components of that particular day are going to be all about. And if you think you'd like to give it a twirl, don't forget to call us at 724-942-3002. You want to talk to Sister Sarah and get yourself enrolled for the event. Now, if you are a practitioner, and many of you out there work with patients, especially for pain issues, you could be a medical doctor, an osteopathic physician, or a naturopath. You could also be a chiropractor, a massage therapist. There are many different ways that you provide services to help people who require to be helped. Adding this just puts an extra little feather in your cap. And once again, the number 724-942-3002. Now, I believe that we've finally identified and located our good friend, Dr. Cass Ingram, who's inbound to Pittsburgh tomorrow. Let's give it a try. Dr. Cass, are you with us?
Yeah, we pulled it off. How you doing?
Hey, Cass, it's been a long time since I've talked to you. I'm so happy to hear you're coming to Pittsburgh. I know you've made the rounds already with the Pittsburgh shows, and as our last formal testimonial to that, you've consented to come aboard with us today. Cass, you're coming to town. I see that you're going to be talking to our audience about natural cures for Lyme disease, and then always with you, and much more. I like that part of your presentation far more than the stated reason that you're coming. But with all that in mind, tell us what you've been doing, Cass. I think it's over a year and a half since I spoke to you last, and I haven't been listening to the other shows, and If you've revealed to them what you've been doing, fine. If not, please reveal it to me and my listeners.
Well, I completed that book, The Lyme Disease Cure.
Oh.
And it is all about natural cures, and so the books are going to be in Pittsburgh at the venues, which of course is going to be the venue there with Sylvia.
Yep.
And she would be doing that at the big center. I think you've got the information there.
Yeah, it's going to be at the Riverside Landings. Everybody knows where that is. It's up there in Oakmont, and I'm glad to hear if you've written the book, you're going to bring it with you. And of course, it's perfect. If you've written a book on natural cures for Lyme disease, you've got the book, and that's intended to be your topic of discussion, at least for a kickoff. It makes it pretty complete. So when did you finish the book? How long has it been out?
Well, it just came to us. In fact, it's being drop shipped to the hotel or to the facility. And so I've been working on it about a year and a half, and we just got it off the press. But what's important is that it's got all the protocols of using natural cures, whereas that's not the standard. The standard has been only doxycycline, sometimes some anti-inflammatories, and that's just not enough.
Oh, man, you are so right about that.
You don't know if it's just the Lyme spirochete. You could have very readily Bartonella, the co-infections. Babesia could be in there, which is a protozoan. We could have Ehrlichia, which is quite disastrous, and any number of the other rickettsial type forms, plus mycoplasma, which is almost a mutated in-between virus bacteria. So, I mean, when you've got tick stomach secretions and tick's saliva injected, that tick was on a rodent, an opossum, a coon, or then a deer perhaps. We don't know what all they've injected. And so with antibiotics only killing bacteria, how are we going to get well?
Very good point. Now, we here in Western Pennsylvania, I believe Connecticut's #1, Pennsylvania's #2 for active cases, and each and every year the incidence of Lyme disease is that high. This is a disease that's replete here in Western Pennsylvania. So the listener today and the people who will be coming out there tomorrow are very familiar, probably know somebody, maybe unfortunately afflicted themselves. So this is not a rare condition for Western Pennsylvania citizenry. They're quite familiar with it. And where you travel, I mean, because you're always in the woods, I'm guessing everywhere you've been, Lyme's disease has been part of what's the folklore of the region. It just goes with the natural occurrence of animals in the woods, deer and the like, where these ticks seem to have a saprophytic relationship. They don't harm the deer at all.
No, not much.
No.
Once in a while, they might, but the deer are pretty resilient. We did have a case of a moose, and it wasn't the Lyme tick, but the wood tick, that the young moose but he was covered in them. So their immune systems are quite interesting, how they can resist and resist it. In this case, there must have been 500 ticks on this animal. So he did get sick. But that's one of the things we discuss in the book is what is it in the wild that allows these animals to fight this, whereas the human being is a...
one tick bite, done. One tick bite and over. It's like, and we have the conventional treatment of this, which is microbial, antimicrobial, antibacterial. You mentioned the doxycycline, that's standard regime, but how early do you have to introduce that to be successful? That's my first question. And once that period is over, is it pretty much Katie bar the door? Because I don't see this disease being turned around by the conventional medical community, except when really intervened with early. Is that what your research has led to?
If you get it within 72 hours, maybe you could say, well, yeah, that doxycycline I took at the doctor determined it, and I got well. You occasionally hear that kind of thing, maybe within 4 or 5 days. But if it's 7 days, 10 days into it, and you didn't know, and maybe you found the bullseye rash too late, or maybe there wasn't one that you could see, maybe you ended up with a sort of a septic arthritis in just one large joint, the knee, the elbow, the ankle. You didn't know. It's almost like Katie bar the door. How are you going to get well when the monkey studies prove it, that if you take 1,000 monkeys and you infect them all with the spirochete and then you pound them for 3 months with doxycycline or another tetracycline class item, and then 75% of them are still fully infected with Borrelia, what do you suppose is going to happen to humans? Same thing. Same thing. And we don't even know if those people that thought they were cured, they could have a relapse 5 years later, because how are you gonna wipe out such a tough organism with a few weeks of antibiotics? It mutates. It goes into the L form. It has its sort of waxy, slippery, slimy layer. It puts up that biofilm. It goes into a cystic form. Wouldn't it do that on being challenged by antibiotics? Of course it does. I just talked to a case with a person who got incredibly worse after a dose of antibiotics. She called her father and said, "Come here. I think I'm gonna die." Just a 24-year-old. Medicine constantly propagandizes things. They never give us a real picture of what's going on. I get the real picture like you do when they come into the office or when I go to the seminars, and I see how sick they are. They're barely hanging on to life.
Every body system ultimately involved, and I don't care if the symptom complex has gone on for 5, 7, 10. The next doctor you see, he starts all over again with the doxycycline. It's just one assault with antibiotics after another. They never give up. I guess people actually even respond or can respond after multiple years of antibiotics, but they never get better. They never completely better.
They never get better. They never get well. 3/4 of them are going to retain the Borrelia active infection in the body, even if you give them that stupid 9 months some doctors are given of doxys. But can you imagine the candidate? See, that's why I didn't take it. I've had to deal with Lyme or a Lyme-like infestation 3 times. The first 2 times the body pretty well beat it back, although I had to do quite a bit because it went into the cardiac. But this last one in Wisconsin would be as if I got it in your western woods. I got the stupid nymph, and that was extremely difficult to get rid of, and we're going to go through that whole thing. But if I can't get rid of it easily, and I have everything in my hands, what about the poor suffering son of a gun that gets a few doses of doxycycline? They get pounded with candida. They have candida now and Lyme and maybe Bartonella. What are they going through? They don't even know what to do to keep themselves alive.
Well, here you are, always in the woods anyway, and it doesn't surprise me that you've been exposed 3 different times now, because as many times as you're in the woods, you are right there where it happens.
Yeah,
and so
it was a real doozy what happened there. I brought some pictures of the bullseye rash and the swollen joints, and I'll put that up on a PowerPoint.
Oh, we got to see this. Well, you were afflicted. Your own bullet target rash. It was you. Was it you that you got the pictures up? You're going to show us?
Yeah, I got the pictures to show, and the joint pathology.
Oh, good.
Well, what happened? What happened was, after a week of picking, and to get that extract, it's an anti-tumor extract from the berries. But the extract came later, but I was busy collecting. The last day, I was by myself, and I reasoned to myself, there's probably no more ticks. I haven't seen anything, which is stupid because it was still August. And so I didn't pull my socks over my pant leg, and I didn't use the Herbal Bug X spray, which is a pretty good repellent. May not be as good as DEET, but it's almost as good. So, and I didn't wear my white suit, and I just moseyed around, and then a week later, I felt like I was dying. What is this? I can't function. All I want to do is sleep. My head has a band around it, and my head's going to explode. I feel like my body's outside of my head, and I was going through all this. My skin is burning. I didn't even think of the stupid tick. And then finally, after another day, what's this on my back? It's burning up. I turned around, looked in the mirror.
It was.
Bullseye rash. And I was sleeping on this stupid thing.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Well, I didn't know what to do, even though I had all reliable, because I went into my brain and spinal cord. That's why my head was exploding, my spine was exploding, my ankle was seized up, my elbow started swelling up, and I said, I'll take oregano oil, and I kept taking it and putting it on that bowl there. I was taking it, and I was all by myself. And then Miss Judy came over, she started helping me. I took some capsules of wild oregano, and you know what? It didn't get any better for 10 days. It didn't get worse, but it didn't move. It just wouldn't move. It wouldn't move. I kept doing the same thing. It wouldn't budge.
Your go-to is always oregano, and oregano was letting you down.
Yeah, it seemed like it. 5% improvement maximum, but at least I wasn't going to die. 50% fatal at that. 40 to 50% fatal neuroborreliosis. After a month. 7% maybe, maximum. Then after the second month, I'm getting a little better at a time.
Wow.
Finally, the rash dissipates. It didn't go away quickly. It popped back up as a multiform rash on the chest. A horrible sensation. But finally, after 2.5 months, I broke down. I took a whole bottle of that super strength oregano oil, the extra strength you carry there. I took a whole bottle of that, dumped it in a glass of water, took 2 bottles of the gel caps, put them by my bedside, and a couple bottles of Oregaress, and I said, I've had it with this. You're going to get out of my body. I drank the whole bottle. I ate 2 whole bottles of the gel caps. I ate half a bottle of this Oregacillin stuff. 45 capsules. And
wow.
Bang, in 3 days, I was able to look at them in the mirror and say, I'm going to get over this.
So it was the dose the whole time, the amount.
It was the amount. It's always been the amount. We never knew it. It's the amount with Lyme, with the co-infections, with Candida. God made this stuff, but we've been shooting it with the pea shooter. Lyme borreliosis, good God. It's a slow-growing, corkscrew pathogen that has 4 or 5 forms. It's very slow-growing. It invades the bloodstream, the lymph. I had the lymph nodes, too, swollen, in the neck and in the inguinal area. It invades the deep recesses. It invades the joint capsule. It eats cartilage. I can't tell you all the different symptoms I've had. You're going to get it out with 1 drug, or just a few drops of oil of oregano? Forget it. Maybe you got that kind of a good immune system, but I'm almost 60.
Your immune system would be top notch if it took that effort. And you were using yourself. I guess you've answered one of my questions, which was going to be, hey, because so oftentimes you describe your walks in the woods, and now you sort of look at nature and then you learn from what you see. My question was going to be, did you go into the woods and have the woods teach you something, or did you actually go in with the mission of how to conquer Lyme's disease, period?
No, I wouldn't want this on anybody. But what I did was, I said, it's got to be for a reason. I kept telling myself at my worst hour, got to be for a reason, got to be for a reason. I kept my spirits up. But yeah, I went into the woods, and the woods taught me a very serious lesson, which is you do not take any chances anymore. Now we have to presume this to be somewhat of a bioweapon, with Connecticut being so bad and with the research being done at Plum Island at the same time as the outbreak. The way this Borrelia evades the immune system, it does appear to be something beyond a natural pathogen. It is a natural pathogen, but what is it? Why is this germ now, not in 1950, not in the 40s, not in the 30s, but now? Why is it attacking the human being, and the human being doesn't have any defenses? Basically, that's what it is. So this is...
do you think this is a biological...
You don't want to go get it and experiment on yourself. No.
Not this one.
Oh.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I heard you intimate it right at the beginning of describing this events that occur with you. But going in the woods as much as you do, you mentioned you use, and probably do recommend, a bug repellent, okay? Could you elaborate a little bit on what that is? You said that you compared it
Herbal
to
Bug X.
Herbal Bug X, huh?
It's extremely effective for mosquitoes. Pretty good for black flies. It's just as good, if not better than DEET for mosquitoes. But for ticks, I would say, and I need to do more research on it, it's slightly less effective than DEET. So there's two options. It's effective, though, especially against the nymph, and I didn't have any on at all for the last couple of days. And by the way, I was so busy, I didn't take even one dose of oil of oregano that week. Whereas if I would have had some of that in my blood, I would have been more protected. Now, that Herbal Bug X, if it's used repeatedly, it should do the job on repelling the nymph. 90% of the cases of Lyme come from the tiny nymph. You can't see it. You'd be really good if you felt it coming. I suppose you could see it if you did a complete thorough inspection. But and it's got lemongrass plus bay leaf plus clove in it and a few other things, and those are pretty good tick repellents. Yeah.
It's called Herbal
Bug X.
Herbal Bug X.
Herbal Bug X. Yeah, and I suspect DeWalt's might have that. If not, people can go into their health store, maybe Sunnybridge, and
yeah.
It. Yeah.
I'm going to go look for it. I'll report back to my listeners because they're always looking for an edge. And, that DEET, that's toxic stuff. That's very toxic.
Well, it's a carcinogen, and, you can't put it on a baby. This Herbal Bug X you could put on a baby or a toddler all the time, repeatedly, or in a dog or a cat repeatedly. I have seen some cases, and there have been some reports of fatality from DEET in tiny creatures. Tiny humans, tiny animals. But it's quite an evolution, and I've had relapses, maybe a half a dozen serious relapses with the Lyme. Serious in the sense that it comes out as a swollen joint. Right now I'm beating back a relapse into the knee. Also, there is die-off and there is Herxheimer with this disease. So I will stress that. I found the Herxheimers to always be a good thing because it means the immune system is beginning to do some things positive. And there's even Herxheimer reported with doxycycline as you kill off the pathogen.
Explain that, by the way. I oftentimes have to explain to patients when we're taking some antimicrobial approach that they could feel lousy, and if they tell me they feel lousy, they'll see me smile. They don't understand. They think I'm twisted and sick with that. But when I see herxing occur, it's a good thing.
It is.
Tell our listeners what a herx is.
The tumor is caught in a bubble, and you and I are outside that bubble. We know that we've got a person potentially going to die or going to be sick the rest of their lives. So when you and I see that if they're taking oil of oregano or they're taking an antibiotic, and they get blotches on their skin, or they get itchy skin, or maybe the joint swells up in the process, we know that the drug or the herb is actually inducing a kill. So if you induce a kill of 1 trillion germs, and all that sewage from the germ pours into the bloodstream, all those antigens we know as antigens, well, you're going to get fever and chills and night sweats and maybe rash, so forth. Even a swollen joint as part of the Herxheimer in Lyme. We like that. Yeah, they think we're...
yeah, no.
We like it.
It's a good sign. The dead carcass is what's provoking that reaction. To have the dead carcass is a win. And it will subside. It will wax and wane. It will go away. It's not permanent. It's a lousy day, 2 or 3. But the good news is when it finally emerges out the other side, you're the much better for having gone through the herx.
Now, see, I feel great, but I'm walking with a cane.
No, really?
Yeah, and it's getting better to the point where I may not need it because the Herxheimer knee has taken some time, but don't forget, Borrelia bores into the cartilage, and it loves the big joint, the knee, loves the elbow, and it eats the joint. And I'm a happy camper because I was trying to give an osteopathic manipulation seminar, which you and I would have fun doing that out there. And I was having fun with this seminar, but I was not a happy guy 3 days into it because neither of my elbows and wrists were working very well. So I pounded the Oregamex, pounded the Oreganol, pounded the Lymex, this one that's only for physician strength. I think one you have to carry there for the people, the Lymex, which is a high carvacol oregano. I pounded that and I rubbed the osteoactive on the knee, then nailed it on the knee, and my arms and wrists freed up. They freed up real good, so I was able to give treatments and move big patients, so for the students. But the knee lagged behind. It's taking time. I believe this is going to be my final Herxheimer because I feel so good that I'm doing this mass tour. I'm not going to stop coming. I'm coming, But I just want to share that with everybody so that they can have a platform of hope. I mean, it's going to look kind of funny. Everybody's familiar with me bouncing around.
Yeah, but I'm
coming in and shuffling a little bit.
Okay. I heard you mention right off the get-go when you talked about your book that this book includes protocols that you've written out like in a 1, 2, 3 step fashion. What do you do? Maybe prophylactic. What do you do post-infection? Describe what you mean by protocols. That pretty much begs the question, do I want a copy of this book? And I think if you're listening, you'll want to get out there to get that copy if you're going to lay out the protocols for what you do, A, B, and C.
The protocols are threefold. Like you said, there's one for prevention. There's another one for what to do if you go into the woods, applying the herbal bug X, the protocol for clothing, the protocol for what to take internally. But the biggest section is a massive protocol for Borrelia, for neuroborreliosis, for Ehrlichia, for mycoplasma, for Babesia, protocol after protocol after protocol, and it's like this very basic anti-Lyme protocol, that Lyme and co-infection. Moderate to severe, severe to extreme, extreme to profoundly extreme, profoundly extreme. And it's stacked like that, with each one having an increase in the number of supplements and the doses.
Perfect.
So it's very tough to put together, but we've got it in the book.
Now,
and
the point I gathered, because when you start talking about taking an entire bottle of oregano, and that finally turned the tide, it begged the question in my own mind: is there a product that needed to accompany this protocol? Because I can't see people trying to pop a bottle full of this stuff. So did you come out with a stronger form?
That's why I graduated the protocols. It's a little bit brave. I had to pour the whole thing into a glass of water, and swirl it real good and just drink it down. You want to be careful it goes down into the esophagus and not into the lungs.
Okay, first point.
You'll be uncomfortable for days. I've had a couple people that accidentally, the way they swallowed, got 5 or 10 drops in the lungs. Very uncomfortable for 3 or 4 days. And you could aspirate, I suppose. So I don't recommend that much in the book. But the highest dose, I think, is about 1/3 of a bottle a day in graduated doses.
All right, and
you could, if you don't find that you find it's just stabilizing you, it's not kicking you enough, you could just take 1/4 of that bottle, pour it into some juice, stir it up real good, and drink it down. If you want to hold it under the tongue, it's a little bit more effective that way, you can. Just be careful when you take that amount, just to take some juice and take it down with it eventually.
Now, did you come up, because I heard you mention a product called Lyme X. I just figured that maybe that's your super concentrated form of oregano. Did I have it right, or is...
Yes, the Lyme X, they were supposed to send you some research samples.
All right, I haven't received them yet.
Okay. That Lyme X is the highest carvacrol wild oregano that we can find, which is about 77 to 80%. There's no such thing as 85%, 90%. That's GMO. When you see that somebody claims to have 85%, that's a genetically engineered. So this is natural with the cinnamon and allspice. So there's a number of antiseptic oils in there. It's very good. It's going to be more powerful probably, or as powerful as a super strength. But this is only available through doctors' offices. Lyme X.
Lyme X. So I'll be waiting for my samples, and we'll have some on hand. I'm going to find out about, because my listeners want to know about this Herbal Bug X, which evidently, when check across the street as a bug repellent, you've really set the table well to entice those who are listening to us to come on out and meet. If they've never been in one of your lectures before, folks, he's a real treat. Can't you tell? You just will enjoy meeting him for the first time. If you've been in an audience before, I don't have to encourage you much to go out and hear him again, because you already know what a great successful speaker he is. So you've laid the groundwork very well for Lyme. Now you've talked about the little paraphrase on the end of it, the natural cure for Lyme disease, and much more. So in the much more category, what are you going to be talking about other than Lyme's disease? What?
As a co-infection, a side effect, and the fact that you can have irritable bowel, spastic colon, Crohn's disease from fungus. I probably will be talking about slow growth mutated tuberculosis, neurological conditions like Lou Gehrig's MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, the infectious connection there, because that's in the book. And there is the spirochete connection to neurological conditions where that spirochete eats the myelin sheath and causes abscesses in the brain. So anyone with a neurological condition and is not getting much progress, they need to attend to learn about this spirochete infection. So it's going to be a lot on this, on those agents, maybe a bit on West Nile if we need to. But okay, the Lyme disease cure and much more means that there's an infection connection to people who are chronically ill. Arthritis is another one. We find some of the people with hypertension have chronic infections. It's just stressing the whole endocrine circulatory axis. The heart, boy, if you have some root canals that are actively infected and they're dripping down and you get mitral valve prolapse or aortic stenosis or myocardial or coronary, and that could be a septic cardiac condition. And you have to clear that infection for the angina and the risk for stroke to go away, stroke and heart attack. Yeah. Infectious stroke. Who would ever think?
Look, I think
some infections out of the body, maybe we can reduce the incidence of myocardial infarction.
I think somebody's trying to knock in here and ask a question. If you don't mind taking questions, do you?
No.
I hope they didn't leave us. Are you out there? Come on ahead. You got a question for Dr. Cash? Go right ahead.
My name is Don. I have a 6-year-old son who was complaining about problems breathing, chest pain, stomach pain. We had an EKG done, and it was fine, and he's been diagnosed with acid reflux.
Acid reflux. Okay.
Right. And
you say he's 6?
6, yes.
And what is his biggest complaint, would you say?
I would say catching his breath sometimes. Because then he has a hard time breathing, and it feels a little tight, like on his chest and his stomach pain.
That's always a fungal attack, like a black mold or green mold inside the bronchial tubes.
Okay.
Now, if Has he favored sweets and sugars over the years, or not?
Yes, he has a little bit, but we try to feed him organic, not all the sweets.
You need to cut back on anything with simple sugars or natural or otherwise, and hit him with some oil of oregano, some of the Oregamax, opened up the capsule, put on the food, a little oregano gel cap twice a day, a few drops twice a day, rub it on the feet, rub it on the shin, and this will go away bye quick. Now, if it's a tough case, you might introduce the juice of oregano, a teaspoon twice a day, which should eliminate the stuck cough, the stuck breathing within 24 hours.
Okay.
Great advice for you, sir.
Okay, yeah, he's not coughing or anything, is it?
Well, yeah, I know that stuck feeling is still functional. Yeah. You mean like the breathing restriction, right?
Gasping for air is what I think I hear you say.
I don't think it could be H. pylori, but the gasping for air in a 6-year-old, that'd be tough if it was just H. pylori. That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's more, I think that they're saying it's more than reflux alone. That there is a pulmonary component, and it's being missed by your doctors. He seems to feel, sir, that there's always a fungal connection to these respiratory issues, and that's where the oregano is going to come in.
And candida causes stomach ache too, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Kids. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, anyway, no matter what germ it is, the oregano will take care of it.
Okay. So you said it was fungal what?
Black mold in the lungs and candida, this type of thing, but not H. pylori as such, I don't think.
Okay.
Great question, sir. Come on out tomorrow night and meet him. There you have it. Great question. 6-year-old. Some pretty serious issues going on in a 6-year-old, wouldn't you say?
Well, it is. If there's real reflux, they could aspirate or something, but doesn't sound like it's just gastric. In any case, that's what I'm used to. These, they take the stuff, they get better. Boy, this way with the chronic Lyme cases, I can be a testimony for them and a feedback back and forth to help them get over it. It's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight, but given time and patience, pretty much anybody can defeat it.
Now, as we're coming into the home stretch, and by the way, for those of you out there who want to get a quick question, Dr. Cass will take it. The number to do that is 412-825-6262. I'll listen for a knock. I'll let you come on in there and get your question out of the way with about a little less than 7 minutes to go. Cass, always nice to know when you're coming to town, but always nice to know what you got on the drawing board next, because you never, I don't care whether you're walking with a cane or not, you never let the grass grow under your feet. You always have the next project. Give our listeners a chance to know what's Cass going to do next.
The natural versus synthetic vitamins, I'm working on that. And also stumbled upon something that is reversing osteoporosis. So the osteoporosis cure, I'll be talking a little bit about that.
Oh, that's going to be a fascinating.
Yeah, that's the spice oils. The spice oils: sage, rosemary, oregano, fennel, juniper, also from the trees, pine. These oils actually, when consumed by osteoporotic non-cycling rats, these oils induce an increase in estrogen, an increase in blood calcium, phosphorus, reduce the parathyroid hormone, reduce the alk-phos, and they lead to shutting down the bone-eating cells, the osteoclasts, and activating the osteoblasts that build bone. Ends up that the bone density in both the bones and the teeth increase through these oils internally and rubbed on topically. Then, if you ingest these same spices, that also causes the bone density to go up, which we've had some cases before because there's something called Oregamax out there, and that just has one of the 3 spices, the wild oregano, but Garlic and onion are also effective. So Oregamax has garlic, onion, and oregano. So we had a woman with a bone density and densitometer of about a 75-year-old revert to a 45-year-old density in 6 months, taking 6 capsules of this Oregamax material. We made that discovery in the 1990s. Mulbauer and his group in Switzerland stumbled upon this when they fed sage to the animals, and their bone density went up. So that new technology I'll be announcing with whatever products are being produced, so that people can take action.
Serious medical
natural versus synthetic vitamins. Hope to cover that to some degree, because you know as well as I do that we don't want to ingest coal tar or hexane. It's carcinogenic.
I don't like any of those synthetics. It's just always been my viewpoint on it. Yet when you pick up a bottle of a supplement, you turn it around and you need a degree to read the ingredients. You are in synthetic land and you want to get out.
Big time.
Big time.
And you're not going to help yourself at all. But the thing that's shocking people is that you could be causing yourself quite a lot of harm. Yeah, because we know how carcinogenic coal tar is. We use it in science to inject into the skin of a test animal so that you can produce a basal cell or a squamous cell cancer, so then you can test a drug. So what kind of toxicity when people are taking 3 or 4 coal tar-based vitamin pills and they're eating it? Same toxicity, only this time internal cancers. So, whoa. And the nose will tell you. You rip open a package of those vitamins, that smell stinks.
That's right. I never thought about it that way, but it's so right. You're already being forewarned, and you just think, oh, that's a medicinal smell. No, that's probably, maybe let your own intuitive senses work on that one. Let it go at that. Look, Cass, we got about a minute or two to go. I want to thank you for coming aboard today. I always enjoy knowing when you're coming to town. Going to try to get out there to see you. Folks, he's going to be, you don't want to miss him, he's going to be out there at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group. It's going to be tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Riverside Landings. Go across the Holden Bridge. Go to the first red light at the Walgreens. There's a Walgreens there. Turn right. Go 2 stop signs, turn right again on the Washington Avenue. You're on the road. Go to the end, it's on the left. Cass will be there at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Books will be in there. Books.
And they'll be having some products there, too, apparently. So you just come and take some action, whether it's the little ones, yourself, your animals. Let's figure out a course of action for anybody that might be sick with germ infection. That's what it's all about. If you're infested, you got to get it out of there.
All right, Cass.
You get well.
We'll see you inbound tomorrow. Folks, you be out there too. Until then, with Bill in the background playing chopsticks once again, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney.
Bye-bye.
With Dr. Cass Ingram saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.